Well, as everyone has said, thank you for letting us invade you this morning. One of the things that we've talked a lot about is how the program has worked and what you have done. What I want to try and maybe give a little bit more information on is why you did what you did. We talked about cost savings as a main factor. We have many issues coming before us. We have the rate caps coming off. We have energy conservation as a priority. But many people are not being proactive about doing this. So from someone who has obviously taken that first step, what is it that really made the two of you possibly sit down and say, you know, we really need to rethink how we're doing this? And having lived in this neighborhood and the homes that are here, and they are great homes to have your family in, but a lot of ways there are ways to conserve. And people will put new windows in, and that's just what they do, and that's the limit of what they go about, or they'll put a new roof on. I mean, I know the home that I moved into actually had solar panels across the top, and they were ones that did not work anymore. They were inoperative when we moved in. But that said, that people before us that had lived in the neighborhood had thought positively about solar energy and possible alternative forms of energy. So how is it that you guys sat down and really took a look at why you needed to do this and why it made sense for your family?
Well, when we first moved into the home, the new windows, the double-paned windows, and it was a roof. They were already relatively new. However, the heating and the cooling system were on their way out, according to the home inspector. So we lived here a number of years, and we found that it was time to replace the oil tank. Was starting to rust out, and we needed to replace it. So we started looking. We had to replace the system. We looked at upgrading a heat pump would have been efficient, but since we were looking at we're going to have to put in a new electricity, a lot of system changes, we looked to say what is going to be environmentally friendly, what is going to be in the long run economically efficient for us and for the community. And so we looked at different systems, whether to go to oil again, whether to go to gas, and then geothermal came up in the discussion. And so we looked at the system, looked at the environmental friendly part of it, you know, concerns with how would this impact the environment, that type of thing. And then if it was logistically possible with our property to do it.
Which sometimes at the houses, it's not feasible as to, even if you have a good idea and you want to do something positive, you have those restraint, you know, things that confine you. So
exactly.
It was able to work obviously with the home?
Correct. Correct. We wanted to put it in the backyard, but they couldn't get the drill back there, so we had to put it in the front yard. So, but it was logistically possible for us to do it. So we decided to, looking at the cost analysis and the environmental plus side of it, we decided the geothermal system was the better way to go.
And with that fact that you have to put it in the front yard, and have you spoken to many of your neighbors? What do your neighbors think about the move that you made in changing this over? Because obviously they all live in homes very similar to yours, so they have energy bills, I'm sure, that are right, you know, in par with what you were paying. What do they think? What's their opinion, their education, possibly? Maybe you're the teacher in the neighborhood per se, of saying what is it that this is what we're doing and this is how we saved. How is it that what's their opinion been?
I've had several come up and ask me if we like it. You know, what type of ductwork do we have? I mean, everything from would it work in their house? Right.
Do you know of any that have done it? Has anybody taken those steps?
Not that I know.
No.
Not yet. With the new program, maybe.
It goes beyond the neighborhood, actually. It goes to everyone who we bring it up with, because for a while we were telling everybody about it, like, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. And people are like, oh, I always thought about doing that. We get a lot of people saying we always thought about doing it.
But they hadn't taken that first step.
But they hadn't done it right.
Well, in a lot of conversations, I'm sure it's something that's not necessarily the normal when you're talking about how you heat your home. And with the energy issues coming down, with the rate caps coming off, and our energy demand increasing ever, so getting higher and higher and higher, and people really have to figure out exactly when it is that they can reduce their demand on electricity at the level of when the demand is high. And I think that is certainly a mind shift with individuals and people better understanding exactly what the long-term effects are. And as we increasingly use energy and teaching people how to conserve, and even taking the smaller steps and not being as brave as you are within your whole entire home, but taking those steps of getting a programmable thermostat or doing the double pane windows, something small, those small steps really do have an impact. And when you're taking a look at your, remodeling and doing all those types of things, is that always a primary idea in the front of your head that you're thinking about? How can we do this in a good way that's energy efficient as well as environmentally a positive thing? Is that something that you guys are always zeroing in on?
Looking forward from here, living in this neighborhood, you know that there are spots in this house that are not as well insulated as others.
There's always those cold spots.
And that is something that we are looking at this point, is how do we better insulate the home to use the system to its best ability. And with the caps coming off, of course, it will cost more for us to run the system, but hopefully in other ways that we can insulate the home better, it will cost less in the long run.
And we are going to have a home energy audit done. I've been wanting to have one for a while, and then I saw I usually don't read the PP&L newsletter because we're doing homework.
Don't tell PP&L.
Yeah. But no, they made it smaller. It's easier to read now,
Oh, okay.
so it's not as much information. But we saw like home energy audits for the first 5,000 customers, and so I called, and it was real. And I said, "Am I one of the first 5,000?"
That's good.
I said, "Am I one of the first 5,000?" She said, "Oh, don't worry, we still have plenty of room
Oh,
left.
okay. Well, that's good.
You got time." So. And then we checked for the list of vendors on the internet, and we found one who does an energy audit. It costs $250, so it won't cost us anything. So
because people, well, in a lot of ways we have the issues of the education out there. So I do thank you, because in a lot of ways you're getting out there and just talking to your friends and your families is a start in that education, because I think that's what's going to be, as we move forward, we're going to have that gap, and we're going to need to educate the consumers, and we're also going to need to facilitate these issues dealing with the rate caps coming off. So I applaud you for being the example and having everyone here making you the example. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And keep educating, because I think a lot of people would really learn a lot from the information that you have and what you've learned from the process, because there's pros and cons, obviously, and things you may have done differently with the project, but all the way others can learn from what you've done. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.